Hello there. I'm going to be tying my Cyclops fly here. This is a sinking fly, good for fishing deep water. Basically a jig. Came up with this years ago to satisfy a guide client of mine who was tired of having the barbell eyes twist on his Clousers that he was buying. So I came up with this with the bead head. It's pretty much tied and around, and doesn't matter if anything twists or not. It still looks the same. It's tied pretty durable. It's all synthetic materials, the tail, the body, and then it's topped with some super glue after you trim the bottom, so it's pretty much bulletproof. I used to tie it on a regular 34007, but have since gone to a jig hook. I like it a lot better. Use a 60-degree bend jig hook. This is a Eagle Claw 413. Mustad makes one also, and you need to bend the barb down to get the bead over the hook point. And I use these large 1/4-inch beads from Spirit River. They come tapered on one end, but I put that face in the front because it's easier to tie off the fly in the back of the head with a little hole instead. So thread that on with the big end first. It fits on the hook eye real nice. I like using red thread for pretty much all of them, and this is my fly thread of choice is the Danville's Fly Master Plus. Just start it off in the middle, take the thread to the back, just about over the hook barb, and I use the kinky fiber. I think it has a nice fluffiness to it with the kink. It's kind of fine, but it doesn't mat up real bad, and it looks like bucktail. It's very durable. Take a clump. I guess if you stretch it out, that's a little bit bigger than the hook shank. This is a 2/0 hook, by the way. You can put as much tail material as you like. Just tie a clump on the back there like that. And I'll trim it like so. Take your thread down, tie over the ends, and then come back past the halfway point. Now for the tail, the length of the tail is about 1 1/4 hook shank length. And I just initially cut it square off on the back, and I take this dog brush here with these spiky wires and just comb it out. And kind of stroke it back together, and you'll see some of the long fibers that the brush pulled out. I'll make a little angle cut on the top, near side, far side, and then below. Just kind of taper the tail a little bit. You can use crystal flash, your favorite flash material. for the tail. I use about 4 to 6 fibers, and then take and fold it over the thread like this, and tie it down, holding it with each side kind of separated so I can split the bunch easy when I get towards the back. Just kind of split it like that, and then hold it in place and finish tying down to your tail tie-in point. You can trim those fibers back to whatever length you want, and then tie in your material that's going to be tied over, wrapped over last. Tie that in first. Ice chenille, Estaz, cactus chenille, tie that in, 2 wraps, and then take your chenille. I like the Crystal Antron the most from Cascade Crest. It's good fluffy chenille. It's got a little sparkle in it. Same thing, pull some out your pack like that. Pull some of the fibers off, expose your string. And wrap over the ends. If you want a little extra weight, you could tie in a piece of flat lead, this little 1/8 inch wide flat lead. You could tie that in on top if you want extra weight. That's optional. Also optional is a weed guard. I'm going to go ahead and tie one in here. Depends on the bottom you're fishing. Most of the time for Capt Mark I don't tie a weed guard. This is 20-pound hard mason. Take it in the midpoint like that and squeeze it flat. That way it goes around the hook real easy. Hold it over the hook. Make 1, 2, 3. Not loose, but not real tight. I guess snug wraps. Make it in that direction, and then come in the front. Hold it back a little bit and make 1, 2, 3 wraps in this direction, opposite direction. Separate the legs. The length of this, just for a rough measurement, is twice the hook shank length. And then just pull it down by the legs and then push it down from the top. Go ahead and separate your legs if they didn't separate before. Like that. Take a little thin CA glue and drop on the top of your weed guard, and if you get too much, just stick a paper towel up in there and sop up the excess, and go in between the legs over the top 1, 2, 3 times in that direction, and 1, 2, 3 times in that direction. Go ahead and bend your weed guard. You want your weed guard to be below your hook point. Just about like that. That'll be good. Okay. Wrap your chenille forward. tie off in front of the weed guard with 3 wraps. Also pull tight in the direction of your wrap on your chenille as you're pulling tight on the thread in the opposite direction. Make 3 wraps like that. Trim your excess off even with the top of your bead head. Prick any little fibers off if they come. If not, don't worry about it. And then tie that over. Now for your estes, wrap that forward in open spiral wraps. You can kind of pull these fibers back, make your wrap forward. There's no need to wrap it real close to each other because the fibers are pretty thick. You'd just be wasting material. Bring that in front of your weed guard. And again, 1, 2, 3 wraps of thread to hold it while you trim the excess off. And then pull these fibers back away from the bead head and wrap down. I like to untwist my thread to make my whip finish. Pull your fibers back. 2, 3. Make about 5 or 6 wraps for your whip finish. Trim off. Kind of adjust your weed guard. I take a little brass brush to kind of fluff this out before I trim it, and make sure everything is level and squared up. You vise parallel to the table, you fly parallel to the table, and then come across the top and trim those long fibers off with the top of the chenille. And go ahead and pull your tail back like this. Kind of fluff it out again, and then come across with your scissors and trim it off like that. I like to trim down, going down to the tail too. That helps the fly stay riding, hook point up, and also it exposes the chenille and the estes core to the super glue. I'll stick it back in the vise to apply the super glue. Take my CA, put in the thread wraps and the bead, and then just drop it on pretty liberally on top of the fly like that. See how it darkens the chenille? And then you're done. Grab this like this. There you go. That's a Cyclops. Capt Mark's caught over 75 fish on just one of these. And he could have caught more, but when he gets that many fish, he'll usually cut it off and give it to his client. Alright, enjoy.